Hey brother, let's be real for a second. There's a reason she keeps thinking about that one guy. And no, it's not because he had a chiseled six-pack, drove a luxury car, or dropped perfectly rehearsed lines. It wasn't about status, looks, or charm. It was something else entirely, something deeper. He did one thing, just one, that left a permanent mark on her soul. A moment, a presence, an energy that carved itself into her memory so deeply that she can't shake it, even if she tried. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, it wasn't anything most guys even notice, let alone practice, but it made him unforgettable. Today, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna show you exactly what that one thing is. The rare, powerful quality that separates a man she remembers from the sea of guys she forgets. And here's the truth. It's not complicated. It's not a trick or a gimmick, but it is rare. Because most men are too distracted, too insecure, or too focused on impressing her to actually embody it. Once you understand this, once you learn how to live it, breathe it, and make it part of who you are, everything changes. The way women respond to you, the way they feel around you, the way they remember you, it all shifts. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you really are, but in a way that radiates strength, presence, and undeniable value. Let's dive in. Part 1. The power of not giving a damn. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood yet undeniably powerful traits a man can possess, the ability to not care. See, women might remember the sweet words you said, the thoughtful gestures you made, or even how charming you were in the moment. But the one thing they'll never forget? The guy who doesn't care. The man who doesn't chase, doesn't need her validation, and doesn't bend to meet her expectations. He doesn't hang on to her every word or wonder what she's thinking. He doesn't need her attention to feel good about himself. Instead, he's focused on what he wants, living life on his own terms, and she can sense that indifference in every interaction. The truth is, most guys are so obsessed with impressing her, trying to win her over, or keeping her entertained. They hang on to every word, give her their full attention, and chase her validation. But the guy who stands out, the one who stays on his path, who isn't scrambling to make her feel special, that's the one she remembers. Why? Because he doesn't need her. He doesn't chase. He doesn't try to read her mind or figure out the perfect thing to say. He's not glued to his phone waiting for a reply or wondering if she's thinking about him. He doesn't give a damn if she thinks he's charming or nice. Instead, he shows up with an air of indifference. He does his own thing, lives his own life, and doesn't revolve around her. That energy, the energy of someone who's unbothered, who isn't scrambling for her attention, is magnetic. It doesn't scream for her attention, it pulls it without even trying. While everyone else is chasing and working to win her over, the guy who doesn't care makes her chase him. The key here is that he doesn't need to prove anything. He's not trying to impress, and he's certainly not trying to figure out what she wants. He's too busy doing his own thing, and that's what makes him so attractive. Women remember the guy who wasn't falling over himself to please her. The guy who made her feel like she had to work for his attention, like she wasn't the center of his world. In a world where everyone is glued to their phones, seeking attention and trying to be liked, the guy who truly doesn't care is a rare, intoxicating experience. He leaves a lasting impact, not because he's charming, but because he's the one guy who doesn't need her, and she knows it. He doesn't let her walk all over him or get too comfortable. He keeps her on her toes, always wondering why he's so different, why he's so unaffected, and that's exactly why she can't get him out of her mind. The man who doesn't care is unforgettable because in a world that's constantly trying to gain attention, indifference feels like power. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting out-competed by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the description if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Part 2. Emotional safety meets unapologetic masculinity. Here's the truth that most men never fully understand. Women are drawn to a man who can hold two seemingly opposite forces at the same time: emotional safety and unapologetic masculinity. These two qualities are both deeply attractive but rarely found together in the same man. On one hand, a woman wants to feel emotionally safe, to know that she can open up, speak her truth, and be vulnerable without being judged, manipulated, or dismissed. She needs to feel like her emotions won't be used against her, that she's not being played, and that she can be seen for who she really is. That's the emotional safety most nice guys try to offer, but often they stop there. They're kind, they're gentle, but they lack edge, depth, and strength. They offer softness without spine, and while that might make a woman feel comfortable, it doesn't make her feel magnetized. On the flip side, you've got the hyper-dominant types, the men who radiate confidence, assertiveness, and bold energy. They take charge, they know what they want, and they don't apologize for it. That can be incredibly attractive for a while, but when that masculinity comes without emotional safety, without empathy or respect, it starts to feel cold, even dangerous. She may be drawn in, but eventually she pulls back because she feels unseen, unheard, and ultimately disposable. But then, there's the rare man, the man who can do both. The man who can hold her emotions without shrinking, who listens without trying to fix, and who allows her to feel completely safe in his presence. Yet at the same time, he's grounded in his truth, firm in his boundaries, unapologetic in his confidence. He leads but doesn't control. He supports but doesn't pander. He respects her heart but never abandons his own. And when a woman meets a man who can make her feel safe and intrigued, understood and challenged, held and desired, that man becomes unforgettable. Because that balance, that rare magnetic combination of softness and strength, it burns into her memory. It's the energy she compares everyone else to, and it's the second piece of what makes a man truly stand out in her world. Part 3. The subtle art of not needing her. There's something most men don't realize until it's too late. Neediness kills attraction. It's not subtle, it's not complicated, it's a universal truth. When a man starts chasing, pleading, or proving his worth, he immediately loses his power. Women aren't drawn to desperation, they're drawn to centered detachment. Not coldness, not arrogance, but a quiet, grounded confidence that says, I'd love for you to be in my life, but I don't need you to feel complete. That energy is rare, and it's magnetic. The man she never forgets isn't the one who double-texted, over-explained, or tried to win her over. It's the man who invited her in, gave her space, and let her come closer on her own terms. He didn't try to force anything. He didn't chase validation. He moved with purpose, not persuasion. When she pulled away, he didn't collapse. When she didn't reply, he didn't panic. Instead, he continued walking his path, calm, confident, and unaffected. Not because he didn't care, but because he was centered in himself. And that's the kind of man women remember, the one who wanted her, but didn't need her. That subtle difference changes everything. It flips the dynamic, it shifts the power. Suddenly she is the one leaning in, wondering why he's so grounded, why he's so unshakable, why he's not playing the same game everyone else plays. And once she experiences that kind of energy, the warm detachment, the effortless confidence, the feeling that she has to earn his attention, no other guy measures up. Because while other men gave too much, too fast, without being asked, he held his value. He knew what he brought to the table. He wasn't trying to convince her. He was simply being himself. And that calm certainty, that's unforgettable. Part 4. The impact of walking away when disrespected. There's a moment that will burn itself into her memory far deeper than any sweet word, romantic gesture, or perfectly planned date. And that's the moment a man walks away with grace when he's been disrespected. Not with anger, not with drama, not with ego, but with calm, unwavering self-respect. See, most guys, when faced with disrespect, fold. They argue, they get emotional, they beg for another chance, hoping to be seen, hoping to be chosen. They stay in spaces where their value isn't honored because they fear walking away will mean losing her forever. But here's the paradox. The man who walks away when walking away is what's right is the one she never forgets. When a man holds himself to a higher standard, when he knows who he is and what he deserves, he doesn't need to raise his voice or prove his worth. He doesn't stay in a place where his dignity is on the line. Instead, he simply stands up, looks the situation in the eye, and leaves it behind with quiet certainty. Not to hurt her, not to play games, but because he respects himself too much to accept anything less than mutual respect. That single act, leaving without bitterness, without a scene, without trying to prove a point, hits different. It sends a message deeper than words ever could. I know my value. I don't stay where I'm not honored. And that shakes her. Not out of guilt, but out of awareness. Because it's no longer just about her behavior. It's about the kind of man he is. That moment forces her to reflect, to feel the weight of what just left. Not because he tried to make her feel it, but because his energy, his presence, his standards suddenly aren't there anymore. And whether she says it or not, she remembers it. Because strength in silence, dignity in departure, and peace in walking away, those things stand out in a world where most men beg to stay. That kind of power, that kind of self-worth, it leaves a mark that lingers long after he's gone. Part 5. Consistency. Plus mystery equals unforgettable. There's a subtle yet undeniable allure in the balance between consistency and mystery. A man who has mastered this balance is both dangerous and desirable, and not in the way most men think. You see, a man's character is the foundation. His integrity, his word, his values, and his consistency in living by them, that's what makes him stand strong. But it's not just about being reliable, it's about being mysterious in your intentions. A man who doesn't give everything away at once, who doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve, or reveal all his cards in the first few moments. There's something captivating about a man who leaves room for curiosity, who lets her wonder what's next and what he's truly thinking. That space between what she sees and what she senses is where the magic happens. This is what sets him apart, the depth of his presence. Women don't remember the guy who's predictable, who's always following the same script, who's always showing up in the same exact way. They remember the one who made them feel something unexplainable, the man who held back just enough to make her wonder, to keep her thinking, what's he really about? That air of mystery ignites desire in a way that makes her yearn for more, to peel back the layers and understand him in a way that others can't. The key here is that while he keeps her guessing, he never loses his purpose. He shows up as a man with direction, with clarity, with intention, but he doesn't make it all obvious. He's grounded in who he is and where he's going, but he doesn't lay it all out on the table. This combination of clear purpose and intriguing mystery creates a magnetic force. It's the sort of energy that sticks in her mind long after the moment is over. Because when you combine clarity with mystery, you create an unforgettable experience. You become the man she can't quite define, but can't stop thinking about. The one who makes her feel something deep without needing to explain it. And that's the one thing, the rarest thing, that stays in her mind forever. So now you know the one thing women never forget. It isn't about the words you say, the lines you deliver, or the gestures you make. It's about who you are. It's about being a man who is deeply present, who stands grounded in his value, who is calm, confident, and in control. A man who doesn't need to chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't crumble when faced with challenges. Instead, he stays solid, unshaken by the external noise. That's the power that makes you unforgettable, because in a world full of men who are constantly seeking validation, who try to impress, who are willing to bend and break for attention, you become the rare man who stands apart. You show up with a quiet strength, with integrity, and with a certainty that commands respect. When you master this, when you embody this way of being, you become the one she will never forget. If you found this insight valuable, make sure to subscribe to The Girl's Mind for more wisdom on mastering your life and attraction. Until next time, stay strong, stay centered, and always remember, the key to attraction isn't in chasing, it's in being. But for those of you who are serious about stepping up and taking control, I've created a one-on-one chat with me. Choose your package and let's solve any problem you're facing, whether it's crushing your goals or handling that conversation with a girl.